three parts on this. How to deal with hurt. It's a big subject. Anybody in here never been hurt? I would say that a lot of our problems are sourced in the idea of hurt. If somebody overtly hurt us, somebody just outright just being malicious hurt us, somebody hurt us, Psalm 37, somebody hurt us not realizing they hurt us, just didn't realize the impact it would have in our lives. So that's potential. Rejection causes hurt. So, a lot of sources of hurt. Honestly, in my research, as I'm doing more research, this three-parter could probably go into 4 or 5. We've got other subjects we could talk about. I want to talk about rejection soon. I'm just kind of putting, that's something that's new in my understanding of things when it comes to mental health, it comes to biblical counseling, the idea of rejection. And so we're going to work on that soon. I just got to get all my ducks in a row before we go that direction. Psalm 37, the Bible says, verse 1 through 8, the Bible says, "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for they shall soon be cut down like grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Lord, and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass." Verse number 8, "Cease from anger, and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil." Psalm 37 talks about hurt. It talks about, in fact, if you have ever had an anxiety attack, Psalm 37 talks about that in some ways, gives us some help in some ways. We've had many that do struggle with that. Always will remain nameless, of course, but we've got a number of people that struggle with anxiety and anxiety attacks. And one of the tools that we use is Psalm 37 to kind of help folks to understand what is causing anxiety and how we can shift our mindset when it comes to anxiety. Many Christian families just kind of start with some, like I said, we have 3 parts to this, 2 or 3 parts to how to deal with hurt. And we might expand upon it, I don't know. But many Christian families are not serving God today. And the reason they are not serving God today is because, many reasons, but a big reason, is that at one time or another they've been hurt. And then they allowed the hurt to change their relationship with God. And that's one of the reasons that many are out of church today. They're not serving God today. One of the reasons many pastors have quit the ministry, good pastors that they didn't do anything wrong. They're just tired. They're wore out. Their anxiety levels are through the roof. Their wife is burned up and burned out, is hurt. We've allowed hurt to cause us to control our lives, or the hurt controls our lives. And in many instances, that hurt crushes the life of the individual. And folks who used to be very able to handle difficulties are now, for lack of a better term, basket cases. You know me, I'm not great at the real clinical terms. We'll just knock it down to something we all understand. And because of hurt, we're now afraid of people. We're afraid of church. We're afraid of even the Lord. Where the hurt of a person has crept into our relationship with God. And you may hear, hey, don't pray for patience. God will sure teach you. You hear the hurt in that? Hurt directed at who? At God. And it wasn't God that caused that trial in your life. He may have allowed it, but it was a human that was broken and hurting. and I've said this, it's not unique to me, but I like the phrase, and I couldn't tell you where I heard it, or if I said it one day and then heard it somewhere else, and went, oh, I'm not that smart, somebody else made it up first. That happens a lot. Or you think, oh, I've come up with this cool thought. And you read a book and somebody else 45 years ago, nothing new under the sun. One of my Bible college professors said, if it's new, it's not true. And if it's true, it's not new. Anyway, but this statement, hurt people hurt people. And so before we judge those that have hurt us, maybe we should do a little investigating in our heart to see maybe they were hurt and I can show them grace. I mean, it doesn't mean use your head, that you allow yourself to be beat up and run over and treated like, manure or anything like that. But the understanding that I can give grace to somebody. Rejected people. We're going to talk about rejection. It's just high on my mind right now. Rejected people reject the next generation. You find yourself, you ever been in a marriage with a rejected person? I know I have, and my wife has. We've only been married once. We were both rejected heavily in different ways. And what happens sometimes, and this goes back to hurt, but what happens is sometimes you've been rejected so much that you end up rejecting people who love you to avoid being rejected. Like you pushed them away early. And because why? You're hurt. And then that other person's like, why are they treating me like this? Why are they hurting me? Because that's what rejection does. Well, they're hurting me because they were hurt. I try real hard. I'm not a perfect person. But I try real hard to look at the other side before I get upset about what's going on. And honestly, I shouldn't get upset. Anyway, I should turn it over to the Lord. But I try real hard to go back and say, okay, how was this? I don't even have to know how. This person was probably hurt. And I'll say, how do I know if somebody was hurt? Just watch their chest for a minute. And if it rises, they were hurt. I'm not kidding. We live in a messed up, broken, hurt-filled society. Anybody here a latchkey kid? You know what a latchkey kid is? You just let yourself into the house whenever you wanted to. Parents didn't know if you were coming or going or what was going on in your life until you weren't where you should be at a certain time. Or the report card came back bad, or the principal called, or something like that, and then all of a sudden they know where you're at, But it caused rejection, covert rejection, caused a lot of hurt, and we have a whole generation where that's the case. The result of not knowing how to deal with hurt destroys homes, marriages, and children. The result of not knowing how to deal with hurt. Should a parent retaliate to a child that's hurt them? No. Children don't know any better. We ought to teach them how to handle hurt. But, when a parent hurts a child, now we got to figure out how do we help that child to understand that mom or dad was hurting and made a mistake and we're very sorry, and teach them how to deal with hurt. It's a difficult thing. How do I deal with hurt that a spouse has caused? Do I have to let that hurt destroy the marriage? Do I have to let that hurt destroy the family as children? I'll let that go for now, but do we have to let that destroy us? So many kinds of hurts today. There's emotional hurts, physical hurts. I want to say this. I didn't know this. Maybe you don't. Did you know what your mind thinks is actually what your body experiences? Don't get weird. You remember something, your body treats that memory as if it's occurring again. Or if you watch a lot of scary movies, teenagers, play a lot of violent video games, which is probably why we need to do a graduation soon. Playing a lot of violent video games, or playing a lot of I don't know, I'm just kidding about, I don't know what kind of games he plays, I just watch kids. But we're playing these games, or we're watching these movies, listening to the music. And the thing is, our mind, you say, I'm just listening, I'm just thinking. Well, your mind's experiencing that. Your body thinks it's experiencing. Heart rate goes up, and your body begins to act as if you're really experiencing it. Say, for instance, if I come over and I do a fake on you, I act like I'm going to punch you in the face, a couple of things are going to happen. You're going to think I'm going to punch you in the face. And your body's going to react, and you're going to flinch. Your heart rate's going to go up. Your lizard brain is going to kick in. Some of us are going to hit back, thinking we were hit. Some of us are going to fall on the ground and squeal and roll around as if we were hit. Don't try it. It's not me. I'm the first one. So if you hit me, lean back on the way. But the whole point is, and that's not the right way to respond. I understand that. I'm just being transparent with you. The point is your body anticipated something. Your mind anticipated something. And your body went through all of the thoughts. Let me give you another example. You say, what does that do with hurt? Because after we're hurt initially, we then think about it, don't we? So you're driving down the road at 85 and a 45. Brother Chris. Oh, some others. Miss Magnan too. Okay. No. Brother Magnan. I love cruise control because I can set it down and go, okay, well, I don't have to. But you're driving down the road. Commercial licenses, you don't want to get tickets as much as you do with. And I keep mine, just you never know when I might want to use it. So you don't get to go into the judge and say, oops, when you have a commercial license. They just say, yeah, pay the fine. Here's your points. Be careful. And anyway, when you're driving down the road, 85, 45, and you see this black and white car, and you see the bloop, bloop. Ever had them warn you? Is it any different when they warn you than when they actually pull you over? No. I got pulled over one time, and I was trucking it. You wonder why we use that word? Because truckers drive so bad. I was trucking it, and I got pulled over. I was going to get a good ticket. Next thing I know, this car, little sports car, went by us. That police officer, young guy, went, handed my driver's license, said, "You be safe." Ran back there and whoo, after that guy. I didn't get a ticket. But my stomach didn't feel good for a little while afterwards. And I still, for a couple of hours, I was like, it took a long time for the mind to settle down. So we talk about, it's just emotional abuse. You weren't hit. The mind doesn't know the difference. When you're hurt, you're hurt. Physical, emotional, circumstances can hurt us. There's a large spectrums of things that hurt us. Pastor didn't shake my hand today. Well, I don't like you. That's right. No, I'm just I'm not a big physical touch person, so I don't think about it well. Like if you come up and put your hand in front of me, I'm shaking it. I'm not mad at you, but I don't think about it. I'm not a big thought, like I just don't want to come up and, get a bear hug and, roll around for a few minutes. I'm not that guy. Especially been drinking coffee this morning. I used to sit by this guy in Bible college. Boy, he loved coffee all day, every day. And I don't even know how I survived the song service. It was like this cloud. I'd say green cloud, but it had to have been brown because coffee, And anyway, off subject. Pastor didn't shake my hand. Well, not all of us are handshakers. You know how much that matters? Bling. 0. You don't have to shake hands. You don't have to get hugs. You don't have to do all that stuff. Now, I know ladies, y'all like to hug. Oh, good to see you. I just saw you this morning in church. Why are we hugging this evening? But it's misunderstanding, right? Like you got hurt because somebody didn't shake your hand and said, does that happen? Yeah, it happens all the time. Pastor didn't talk to me this morning. Won't you talk to him? I don't think that person at church likes me. They never seek me out. When's the last time you saw them? But it hurt. And sometimes hurt's perception. And that's going to be a 4-parter probably. All right. The second part of hurt, I just want to, I know this isn't in here, so I want to throw this out because it just came to my mind. Parents, grandparents. Those of us with age versus those without it. Don't minimize a child's hurt. Don't minimize a child's hurt feelings. Don't minimize their interpretation of things, their perception of things. Help them to see right interpretations and perceptions, but also don't minimize it. Oh, my friend. Oh, get over it. You'll have more friends. Nobody, you know how many friends I have from high school? None. You know how many of those people I went to high school with I want to be my friend? None. Who would call me not long ago like, hey, can we rekindle friendship? I'm at church. Come on, join us. That's where my friends are. But the whole point is that we get hurt. Oh, minimize. Don't minimize the kids. Oh, you're going to find another boyfriend. Well, first of all, if they ain't ready to marry, they don't need a boyfriend. Because that's just practicing. You don't need to practice. I'm not like there's this group of people that believe if you start courting a girl and you find out she's not the right girl, you better marry anyway because you're defrauding her. If you acted like you were going to marry her and now you ain't and you're just going to embarrass her, baloney. Look, girls, if he's crazy, get away. If she's crazy, which is more likely, if she's crazy, get away. I'm just kidding. I know, ladies, if it weren't for us, you'd be perfectly sane. Yeah. You just aimed me in the wrong spot, brother. Yeah, if it weren't for us, you'd be perfectly sane. I get it. I do, yeah. Adam still be eating in that garden, tending those animals if it weren't for Eve. I know. No. Guys, what he should have done. You're funny. He was. So anyway, don't minimize their. Hey, you're hurting. I get that. Let's talk about it for a minute and help them to put it in perspective, but give them time. All right, give them time. Love on them. They're dealing with people can cause hurt. Losing a friend or loved one to death causes hurt. Being in church causes hurt. So I don't think there should be any hurt in church. Well, there are people there, so there will be hurt there. Husbands and wives cause hurt to one another. Somebody said when we first got married, if you can make it through the first 5, we're celebrating 25 years soon on the 13th, whichever day that is. We're celebrating 25 years. We got married at 15. My wife actually a little older. Had Shelby at 15. My wife turned 16 a month later. We got married 2 months later. And I think I was 17 when we got married. So if you make it past 5, everything will be good. I guess maybe they meant 5 minutes. I don't know. No, the truth is that's a lie. In fact, the first 5 years, statistically, are fine. Because you think, well, we'll learn each other. Well, we'll get through this. Well, after 5, you're like, are you kidding me? Is it still going to be this way? 40 years? You guess what? Ask the Magnans, yes. They're still going to be that way. Unless God gets a hold of them, right? But spouses are going to cause hurt. We know how to handle ourselves to some degree, and we still hurt each other sometimes. And we have to learn how to deal with hurt. There are many different things we could talk about when it comes to hurt. We could talk about tempted saints, right? Where folks are tempted and they cause hurt to somebody else. Or a saint that it shouldn't be living a certain way is, and it causes temptation to somebody who's trying to live a right way. You always have that one teenager. That's all we have, but you always have, so I guess he's going to be it. You always have that, you always have that one teenager that's kind of, that the others are trying to kind of do right, and he or she's going to be, usually it's 2 because you got a boy and a girl, and you got to kind of pull them back and try to work with them. But tempted folks can cause hurt. Well, I can't believe my kid was tempted. Well, are you silly? Sinning saints. Where we're in church, people aren't supposed to sin in church. I wish that the ideal was the reality, but it isn't. It's just the ideal. We strive for that, but none of us will succeed at that. Somebody in here is going to hurt somebody else to some level. Now, depending on the level, we'll ride them out on a rail, or we'll just kind of love on them and try to help them. But people are going to sin. They're going to cause hurt. Jesus said to that crowd of folks around that woman caught in adultery, you with no sin cast the first stone. Right. And they all walked off. And the one who could have cast a stone, because he was without sin, lifted her up and said, daughter, where are your accusers? and go on. Sin no more. She'd had a change in her life. Changes in our lives cause hurt. What about the person who was running along with the negative crowd and suddenly got smitten and changed their life, and they don't want to be negative anymore, so they're positive, and then the negative crowd gets hurt, perceived by the person who is now positive and doesn't care about their life anymore. They used to ask me about my misery, and now they ignore my misery. What they're really doing is deflecting the misery, right? Oh, this week was, and but it didn't rain. Oh, you won't even listen to my hard week. I'm just trying to deflect it, and now there's hurt. I'm just trying to help you to look at it from other angles. There's God being absent in our lives. It seems like God is hurting me. You read the Psalms, sometimes David said, "Are you going to hear us?" Asaph says, "Are you going to turn back to us?" Whose back was actually turned? God's always trying to get our attention. I know it says that He turns His face from the wicked. I understand that. And you understand that the wicked have turned their face first. And the Bible says, draw nigh unto God, He'll draw nigh unto you. So when the wicked turns around, it's like God is like, whoo. And He's like that. And I don't know. I think sometimes we misinterpret that a little bit too. Because when I see the illustration in the New Testament, I see the prodigal son out afar, and I interpret when the father's waiting at the gate, I interpret him looking out at that road every day. I hope he comes back. I pray that he comes back. Oh, I hope he comes back. Just looking. I think God sometimes, that's the illustration, is that God's over here saying, oh, they're going to come back. I'm going to be right here when they come back. I'm going to love on them. Broken hearts, children and relatives, life separations, death, Those who have lost hope, sickness, aging, death for us. You ever had a child whose parent died young, and now they're mad at the parent because how could you leave me? Or they're mad at God, how could you take them? And they're hurt. There are a lot of other things. Living can be a problem. Life is full of hurts. Pastor, this isn't an encouraging message. Not meant to be. It's meant to be reality. Sometimes we're just going to get up here and we're going to rub shoulders with reality. That way we know, because if I fill you with fantasy, you go home and you wonder why your life isn't like mine is. I don't know if I've gone a week in 42 years that somebody somewhere hasn't caused some sort of small hurt or large hurt. It's just the way we live. Even that dumb bunny that thought they had to go 1,000 miles per hour to get around me and then cut it back to 500 what I'm already going. Tractor trailers. What about the ones, you don't do this, I know this, brother. You're going 3 miles per hour faster than the truck in front of you. You think you got to get over and pass for the next 45 minutes. Yeah. Hurts. Not really, but come on, you get like, that guy's doing it on purpose. You begin to manifest this hurt. I've done that. I see somebody acting a fool behind me, blowing and going. I'll just pull over right next to the car that's beside me and we'll slow it down. Niggas, you're going to get a shot. Well, heaven's nice. She doesn't like that response either. Here's the thing. You're going to conquer hurt, or hurt will conquer you. How many people remember a time when somebody else hurt you? Everybody's hands went up. I saw them. We're dealing with people when we get hurt. And how do we handle it as a Christian? That's the question. How do I handle hurt as a Christian? Here's what you have to understand. If you don't handle hurt, it'll handle you. It's why Christians are so miserable today. It's why we're bitter. It's why our families are broken apart. Here's the thing. A marriage, okay, it happens. It happens. Marriages fall apart for really big problems. It happens. Generally, it's death by 1,000 cuts, though. Generally, it's this hurt, that hurt, 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 until I can't anymore. And not one of them in and of themselves I know there are exceptions, but not one of them in and of itself would have caused this to be where it is. But the death of 1,000 cuts of hurts has caused us to be in a problem. What if we'd learned how to handle those hurts in the beginning? Now, water under a bridge. I know we have divorced people in here. I know we have people whose lives have catastrophically changed. I understand that. And I'm not here to call judgment on that. I'm here to say, what if something changed? What if we've been taught as newly married couples? We went through a little bit of 30 seconds, I don't know, marriage counseling before we got married. I've had a couple of people come to me and they're like, hey, will you marry us? And I was like, well, I'm already married. And then they laughed and they asked, would you perform our ceremony? And I'm like, okay, yeah, here's a piece of paper. Let's read this for a minute and give a little marriage counseling. Whoops. I think we could do better. I think we could do better. And we got to learn how to communicate. We got to learn how to deal with hurts. He's going to hurt you. She's going to hurt you. Do you still want to say I do? Oh, the Twitter patient. Oh, yes, I know. I know she'll hurt me. And we'll be okay. I know he'll hurt me and we'll be okay. No, you won't, because you don't know how to handle it. And so we want to teach people how to handle hurt. Now, today, we're going to work on that. You say, it's too late for me. No, it isn't. It's not too late for you. What's done is done and can't be undone, but what goes on in the future can be handled correctly or not. Right. The hurt that you've experienced, that you've let fester, can be dealt with. Also, conquered or conquer you. Many folks have been conquered by bitterness, which is what comes from hurt. Many families on the sideline because of hurt. Hebrews 12, verse number 15, talks about this idea. And you got to understand that bitterness and hurt go together. Bitterness is a product of undealt with hurt. Once hurt has transformed into bitterness, you can't deal with it in the same way. You've got to deal with it with the Lord. Only the Lord can uproot bitterness out of your life. But if you deal with it at the hurt level, you can get it done really quickly. If you deal with it at the bitterness level, it's going to take some months, years. It will. Chapter 12, verse 15, the Bible says, looking diligently. Now, I have diligently underlined. If you don't underline your Bible, that's okay. But I have diligently underlined in my Bible. Why? Because it's the pivot word. Looking diligently. Lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. So we want to look diligently at what? Well, contextually at our life. We want to look diligently at our life. Keep an eye on it. Is there hurt being undealt with? Is there sin being undealt with? I need to be diligent. It says there, lest any man fail of the grace of God. Now, I'm a once saved, always saved person. I don't believe that once you're put in Jesus' hand, anything can take it out. I don't believe that once you find yourself in the love of God, that any man can remove you from the love of God, as it says in 1 Corinthians. I believe that it's a reservation that's set in heaven. I believe we're sealed not by man, but by the Holy Spirit of God, which is indelible. I believe my name is written in the Lamb's Book of Life with the blood of Christ, which is not blot-outable, which is an word. But everybody else makes up words. So I'm coining phrases by the dozen up here at Terrell State. I have worked there like 7 years. Yeah, we're coining phrases unblottable. What does this mean? Fail of the grace of God. Here's what it means. God gave you grace, and you didn't utilize it. You allowed your life to be broken. I'm saved. Let me put it in a different way. You believed on God to save you, but you won't believe on Him to govern your life. You're still going to go to heaven, but you're going to go to heaven with an ungoverned life. It's going to end up at the judgment seat of Christ, where wood, hay, and stubble are going to be burned, and you're going to be there with an empty altar and to pass into heaven because you failed of the grace of God. How do we not fail of the grace of God? It's like when any of you parents got wayward children? Yeah. It's a hard society to raise kids in, dude. I didn't know how to handle my life, and I didn't know how to raise my kids to handle theirs. And so we're struggling with some of that. And you ever thought, man, do you know the things I sacrificed to raise you? The things I gave up to raise you? I mean, hey, listen. I scored a near perfect on my ASVAB. I would have gone into the military with the world as my oyster. Do whatever you want to. That's what the recruiter said. I mean, it's like I missed like half of a point or something on my ASVAB. I don't remember how it worked, but it's like the recruiter's like, dude, I could have gone in and done anything. But I saw the writing on the wall with my family, and I was like, my wife still had 2 years of a year of high school left, and her family, and all these things were going on. I was like, no, I'm going to stay. And then I worked $800 a month for a while. Then I made $1,100 a month for the next 17 years. And then I finally got a job that paid. And you know what? We went on trips to Yellowstone, and we went here and there and the other. And you as a parent sometimes go, I gave up my wife homeschooled 20-something years. Gave up, potential for a career. And then you look back and go, man, I gave you all these things. Why can't you honor that? And I'm not whining, I'm giving you illustration. Because Christ died for us. When we fail of the grace of God, He's given us grace to go to heaven and grace to live our lives. But we failed it. We let hurt come in and we let it destroy us. And I want to encourage you not to look diligently at your life. You might think pastors preaching on getting rid of doer mentality and preaching on spirit-led, and so life's going to be easy. Mistake. You still should live a life the Spirit produces works in your life. Show me thy faith without thy works, I'll show thee my faith by my works. But the point is that you still have to work hard. You still have to put diligence into your life. You still have to look, come in and say, you know what, today I'm tired, but I'm going to get in God's Word. I'm going to ask Him to forgive me from some sins. I'm going to ask Him to teach me today. It's going to take work. It says a root of bitterness there. Many be defiled. That's the point, right? Bitterness. It's just like rose bushes. Cut them down to the ground. Next season, they're back as tall as they were when you cut them down. Well, I mentioned an illustration of that recently about my mom's rose bush, 10 by 15. She's like, could you come help me dig this thing out? Cut this thing down. And I did. I was unsafe as everything. I had this chainsaw. I was crawling under a rose bush doing this with a chainsaw. I'm glad there aren't any kids in here for this lesson. And you couldn't. It was in the chain link fence. This thing, it looked like something from a horror movie. It came from the Black Lagoon, And my wife's over here like, they can't see me under. I'm over here cutting. Ow! Oh, he's got fingers. Thorn bush, thorns. So when we pulled that thing down, it has been about 4 years less. 3 years, maybe 3. That thing is now back to the original size. Bitterness the same way. I heard somebody say this. Oh man, we're out of time. I heard somebody say this. I'm not bitter, I just get upset sometimes. It's like the rose bush. I just cut the branches off and it comes back up later. You are bitter. If I were to say a name and you were to get upset every time that name is said, you're bitter. Situation, you're bitter. You say, I'm not bitter. I just get upset when I hear that. You're bitter. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're bitter. You got to get to the point in your life, and we'll talk about how to root that out, but let me say a couple more things. We'll be done. We got about however long I want. Have you ever been around someone with an angry spirit? Right? The problem goes back many years. An angry mother or an angry father begets angry children. The angry children get separated from their parents because of anger. Devastation occurs. Hurt occurs. Bitterness occurs. And then the next generation gets to eat of it too. And the next generation eats of it too. And bitterness causes anger. My bitterness caused anger in my children. Their bitterness is going to cause anger in theirs. If you have angry children, it's time to stop and assess and figure out what needs to change. And I tell you, the first thing needs to change is not the children. It's us. And I've got to figure out how to handle my anger and my hurt and my bitterness, and I got to get that right. And you say, should I apologize to them after you figure it out? Because if you apologize to them and next week the same thing happens again, it makes no difference. It makes the hurt worse. So maybe, get in some counseling with us and we'll help you learn how to handle the life. And then you go, okay, now I've got down the road a little bit. Seems like I know how to handle this thing. Now kids, look, mom, dad, we were doing this, that, and the other. Boy, look, All we can do is say, forgive us. We've learned that things are going to be different and you'll start seeing the anger change. Start seeing all that get better. But that's what happens, devastation. Two things happen negatively to a person who's been hurt: extreme anger and withdrawal. Extreme anger and withdrawal. If you see those two things in a person, one of them sometimes, you'll know there's hurt. Now, how do I fix this? How do I work on that? We see teenagers never ceases. Teenagers think they're the smartest thing that ever existed. We watch them in junior high, man, lies are bright. They're excited about life, love singing the songs. They get in the teen department and they stay that way for a while. They go to camp and get on fire for God. And then one day they walk in and their eyes look different. And you know, something happened. Doesn't have to be a big deal. Could have been, I was trying to show something to Dad and he didn't listen to me this week. And that could have started the downward trend in that young person's life. Could have been a friend at school. Could have been the gas station attendant, wouldn't sell him cigarettes, so he was mad. I don't know. I mean, if you grow up in small town Texas, they will, so what are you worried about? But the whole point here is that somebody gets hurt, that changes their life, they get in this cycle. Somebody says this, Pastor, I did something for someone, they hurt me, I'll never do that again. I'm never going to church again. I'm never going to sell out for God again. Because when I sold out for God, you don't know what happened to me. If I'm your pastor, I do. Because this happened to me too. We got to learn how to handle the hurt. Now, give us one more section because, seriously, we can't drag this out too long. Here's what's happened. They've been conquered by their hurt. The Christian that is like that, they look at themselves and they do not like what they become, but they're conquered. They are going to respond the way they have been conditioned response by their previous response to that hurt. And they're going to have a moment where they figure it out and go, oh. But it doesn't happen, you know what I'm saying? It takes almost intervention style moment from the Lord where He says, look, it's a message at church, or it's a friend asking a question, or it's, something goes on, somebody else's testimony about something. You're like, dang, oh, that's me. God help me. And it begins to get that answer. There's a biblical cycle we're going to get to in Psalm 37 here next week. And it's called the fret, envy, anger, wrath, and evil cycle. The flesh cycle. You fret over something. Leads to envy. Leads to anger. Leads to wrath. And the next thing you know, the evil that you were never going to do, you're now doing. Because of hurt. Because of fretting. We'll get into how that works next week. Let's just say somebody hurts you, begin to fret over that, and it leads to a bad cycle. We're talking about biblical counseling. That's our Sunday school ideas. Maybe you get enough out of it. You want to start counseling other people. That's cool. Maybe you get enough out of it. You say, I need help. I want to get this intensely. Let us know.